Full send. Can I say, you and we got to spend some time in person together. We shared a meal, multiple meals. How many meals did we eat? Just one.
Wait, by share a meal, were you hoping it was we had one plate?
We had one noodle that we
One
were
noodle.
slurping down at the same time.
Lady and
It
the
was,
Tramp did.
Lady and the Tramp style. Which, by the way, I always thought that Tramp was female because of. I'm getting so much trouble for this episode, but
You're gonna
because
get
of
canceled.
the whole tramp stamp thing, where the tattoo is at the small of a back, and I thought, like, that's a stamp on a
You
on a tramp.
You have a dog tattoo on your lower back? That's what it is. Oh man, we are learning so
anyways.
much about each other.
We got to see each other in person. We were together for the better part of a week. A lot of fun was had, I think, on all sides. One of the things I learned about you, I got to see John Miller drive, which did just full rush of the 90s. I felt like I was watching Al Cowlings drive OJ around. You were driving so slow,
Yep.
and with such kind of disregard for the folks around you. It was like watching a little white Bronco in 1990, whatever.
Now wanting to know how many people in the world know the names of the other people that were in the car. Wait, is there just one other person that was in the car?
It was Al. It was his friend Al driving OJ, and then like wasn't he in the back like hiding? Do you remember? You're older than me. You must remember this pretty well.
I remember it happening.
Did you have a TV?
Sorry, when I say I remember it happening, I've seen news clips of it more recently than seeing it live.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember. I do remember it happening. I do remember just kind of like the news and
Yeah.
But I didn't know who O.J. Simpson was. So I was like, whatever, I don't care. But regardless, you seem to remember way more details than most around this. I didn't know that they were driving slow.
By the way, this is Getting to Market. I'm Nate. We're here with John Miller. We work at the same org, and we are in an annual product planning cycle. Is that the norm for you? If you've been places that do it more often, what to you is the right cadence for doing annual planning?
Annual is longer than I'm used to. If I was thinking about that from a planning perspective, how often do we go back and just find out, are we doing the things we said we were going to do? So that's a little long. Just from what I'm used to, that's long. I'm more used to 6 months at the altitude we are speaking at, and then the kind of planning out. So like an every 6 months type of conversation.
I'm going to say something that's going to probably sound very dumb, and maybe it is. Roadmaps to me, from your perspective, kind of feel like a balance of innovation and risk.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing a year-long one, it seems like your risk is more on the innovation side and not as much on the delivery side. And if you're on the shorter end of planning, you really, it's going to be painful if you miss what you have planned in that shorter period. Does that feel fair? But you also then are less innovative.
Yeah, that's I had never thought about it like that, but yeah, 100%.
All right. Well, good night, everyone.
Good talk.
This was fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
people listen to this at night? When you were talking through that, I was thinking
Yeah.
about how this year was a good example of AI just changed everything, where, we had a decent idea of it, and then you get a Lovable and you get some Devons, and you find out what you can do, and you're like, everything I had on my roadmap either immediately becomes compressible from a delivery time standpoint or significantly changes. And so I don't know if this is a normal year you can compare against because it was so different in that way, but yeah.
Are we to the point yet where like a Devon type engineering resource can change and evolve quickly enough that like within that year planning or roadmap, you could actually deliver some things faster as Devon improves or you improve with Devon? Is there more variability now?
Are you asking so if you take analog development, if that takes 6 months and then you add some Devons and you do it 3 months, will those Devons get more efficient so then you can do it in 2 months? Is that...
Yeah, because Devon, I think part of the whole value of AI is the potential for it to get kind of incrementally better as it goes.
Sure.
And so you're also, they're shipping new models and stuff. And so potentially you've got to then reshift things as it's getting faster, but you're losing kind of that predictability where analog, you pretty much know when you're going to deliver stuff because you can very easily map that out for the humans that are coding. But like how much more variabilities are going to be in delivery speeds because of AI resources, because they're going to be a little less predictable, I feel like.
Yeah. I don't know is the short answer.
You almost have to account, I guess what I'm saying is you almost have to account for them getting faster too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know what immediate value is being shown. Like, are we actually delivering any faster with those? In theory,
Yeah.
yeah, we are. But have we seen demonstrable evidence that we're delivering that much quicker now that those are there? I think there's a lot of excitement about it and, potential to do that. It feels really new. I mean, how long did it take you to get comfortable using Claude or a ChatGPT or whatever day to day? Like, what was that time frame from, oh my goodness, look what this can do, to, I can't imagine.
months before I felt like
Yeah.
I was better at my job because of it, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
But then I had the realization, I actually had a conversation today with some of my peers in the product marketing side, where I was just asking them, like, do you feel like you could be as good at your job if you didn't have AI right now? And my answer is, like, I don't think I could. I don't think I could do things as quickly without
Sure.
AI right now. It would be a real handicap to lose AI and deliver and be expected to deliver at like the same speed.
Yeah, same pace. I bring it up just in like the whole idea of engineering teams starting to use Devons in this kind of like mixed mode of
Yeah.
analog engineers versus a Devon type tool. They're probably in that same curve of like, how do I use this to make me mo better, and what stuff can we do, and is it similar enough where we don't know, not from a lack of trying, but just from a lack of like, how do I plug this into my workflow to make this faster, to then know, okay, this would have taken me 6 months, now it's going to take me 3, and then as those models improve, is it going to get better, is it going to get 3 become 2, or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. I don't know that I'm not anti AI. I'm not in the trough of disillusionment, but I'm getting a little bit like I have also started. This is like an AI therapy session. I've started seeing people lean really heavily into it, and so I've caught myself being like, I don't like it anymore, which is a weird thing. And I've caught...
Yeah, it's like a band that you thought was really cool because nobody else knew about them, and then they catch on, and you're now grossed out by your own complicity. And yeah,
we did do some preparation on what we'll talk about in this, but now we've talked a lot about AI, and my brain is kind of going on that. I don't know if I'm not anti-AI. I think it's still helpful. I don't see it being as helpful. This is weird. Let's work this out together. At the same breath of me saying, I don't know how I can do my job without it, I'm also seeing it's being more of a problem and not as helpful, and I'm not seeing speed benefits at an organization level, which is weird.
Where are you feeling the pressure from the org for you to go faster because of AI?
I don't feel external pressure to go faster. I just like to get stuff done, and it is inarguably that much faster. I mean, doing tactical product management work, I was writing stories, building epics, laying out different stuff for roadmaps to kind of lay out some new things we're working on, and I did, that whole story of like, I did what would have taken me 6 hours in something like 2, probably 1, and yeah.
So your argument is that AI is making the cogs move faster, but the ship, they're like twisting metaphors here, the ship isn't moving any faster.
Yeah. Do you remember, maybe you had it as like a black kind of 8x11 pegboard with gears on it, and you'd spin them. They're like always at a dentist's office. We're spinning the gears a lot faster, but none of the gears are touching each other. That's what I feel like is happening. or that's the risk. And most of it with AI is like, it's taking more time to review what is being said and written and produced through it than it would just to write it as a short or analog in that way.
And you are speaking in general terms, not just to your current place of employment.
Yeah. I mean, look at Lovable has kind of gone through a bit of this curve. Like, I'm talking to different people and entrepreneurs and different stuff here, and one in particular just said, I I stopped using Lovable because it got, you basically found the boundary of what it can do. And then after that, it just got in the way. And it was taking his
Yeah.
engineering time or his engineering team more time to clean up what was there than it would just to have a UX person design it out and kind of go. So it feels like all the plumbing is yet to really connect to make something great, kind of that organizational level benefit. Maybe I'm wrong on that. We'll see.
What are we talking about today? What's our topic of conversation?
I posted a thing that I really do believe in and feel strongly about, but just the general idea that if you look at what a leader can do and what a leader's primary responsibilities are, it's to build environments with which people can be their best. And
Okay.
there's an attitude in there, but it's really that idea of like, what can I control as a leader for my team? I can control the environment, and that's it. And so making that the best.
I'm going to call you out a little bit, which
Love
is
it.
that is not all that post. This is a post from LinkedIn, and do you have it handy? I can probably find it pretty quickly.
Sure.
But that
Read it out
wasn't-
loud to me.
All right, let's see. So it says, you go into that part about building the environment,
Yep.
and you talk about how this is one of the things, like if you're coming from an individual contributor role, it's tough. It's a tough change to make. Okay, I'm with you there. Then you say, as a leader, you're not the player anymore. You're the grounds crew. You build the field. You prep the stage. You create the conditions where great work happens.
Yep.
Now I'm going to throw back at you a phrase that I think we are probably both familiar with, which is the idea of a player coach. What was it, like Pete Rose? I think was one of the models for this, where
Oh, really?
he was both like the manager and he was still, I think, at least hitting. I don't think he was fielding, but there are other examples though of player
Yeah.
coaches, right? Where
Yeah.
there are folks that are in there with you and doing some of the doing, but they're also the coaching role. And maybe this is a personal preference thing, but I like a player coach. If I have a coach that is showing me that they still do and can do better the things that I'm doing, like I'm more motivated. If they're just assuming that I'm going to get that there on the field and I don't know like how good they are at playing, it's less motivating to me. Like, how does that, is this partly you reflecting like, this is what I like. I like a leader who's just going to set this environment up for me. They're the grounds crew. I go out on the field. I do my thing. I could give two shits whether or not they're good at it. Or is this how you want to be as a leader? Like, you don't think you need to lead by example.
That's a loaded thing right at the end. That's a little curveball if we're going with baseball metaphor.
That's what a player coach is. That's half the...
I absolutely want to know that my manager has a capability and capacity to do the things they're asking me to do well, and that they've got experience to do that. But the player coach idea breaks down when it's like, I have to do this with you because you can't. I think you lose out on what your team can do. So I'm not trying to posit that the coach doesn't need to have, or the leader doesn't need experience doing the role. I think that's absolutely valuable. Actually, right now I'm doing some of the role too and enjoying it, and there's a good part of that. But that idea of that switch for being the individual contributor and making that change, you don't just, this is pretty tired, everybody knows this, you don't just keep doing the thing really well, but you have to shift what your job is to make it so that the people on your team can do it really well. So it's not necessarily about a player coach idea at the same time. I've been doing that for a year, but it's that like how I view my primary job is to make it so that the environment that person is in, the things that they're working on, they have a clear vision for what they're doing. They understand their expectations. They know what victory looks like. They can drive and own a complete picture of that victory for themselves. Like that type of environment, and building that and then letting them work in that, that's 100% my job. That's how I view it. Not that I don't need to be good at it. I think, I probably have challenged leaders that I don't know if they know how to do their job they're asking me to do. But separate ideas in my head.
That's why you've been fired more times you've been hired. But yeah, it's cool. I see you doing actual math in your head. That's really worrying.
I'm trying to, yeah, exactly.
That joke.
Sometimes the joke hits the hardest.
But okay, so you're setting the stage. Like to me, it is demotivating, I think. And maybe this speaks to the first half of your point, which is if you don't feel like the field isn't prepped for you to succeed.
Yeah.
And also, you're seeing when that person above you is asked to execute and they aren't great at it, you're rattled, right? Because then you're like, what am I gonna be able? And we're speaking a lot of generalizations here. I guess I should say, like, if you're in a product marketing role and you're doing messaging and you have a manager that also is then like, for whatever reason, they have to get in and do some messaging work too, and they are not good at it, you are like, well, what is the expertise you're bringing here that makes this team better, right? And I think when you have the opposite, when you are like, when you're doing the work and you see that leader come in and do it better than you could, like, what better motivation is there to like want to improve on your own, to see like, hey, there's a reason this person's leading this team. Like, part of it is like the field part, right? They're doing a great job setting other folks up for some success. But the other thing is they're still so good at this thing, they could come back and do it anytime.
Yeah.
But they're not, because they're busy doing this other thing too. And like, that to me is really motivating. Like, I have a guy who I consider as a mentor. He, not so long ago, like, created a messaging guide that I was using, and I was like, it's still really good messaging. Like, and to still have those skills. Because I do think for both of us, right, there are certain skills that we have that do have the potential to atrophy. Like, if you don't work some of these skills, you get worse at them. And like, writing to me is one of those, and the ability to be a good writer in the way that you have to for marketing stuff, I think is a muscle you kind of have to exercise.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by seeing like folks that can come back and still do that work better than anyone else.
Yeah.
And I think like, that to me is more inspiring than like, hey, I feel like the field is really well prepped.
I don't disagree. I think maybe you read into my post more than I meant to communicate, because all that is true. But if you had a leader that was next to you doing the work and just looking over and saying like, why don't you do it better, but not leading to make it better for you, that would probably be demotivating as well. If they're just kind of, glancing across and saying like, well, they can't do this thing, but they're not making it easier for you. They're not looking at the systems of the environment that make it simple for you to succeed. They're not looking at, what can we do to provide opportunities of practice, like those sorts of things. You would be, I would say you'd probably be more disappointed or I can't remember the word you used.
I don't know that I would agree with. I would actually rather work for someone that I know could come in. If they replaced me, they do a better job. That keeps me in the game more than they can't do what I can do, but they do a really good job of the setting the field part. I'm kind of like, well, yeah, you're in that role. Like, you should be able to do that. So I probably wouldn't agree with you on that. But
that's good.
Like, what
you can be wrong.
What inspires you if you're thinking back at all the folks that you've had as managers and leaders? What actually like motivates you to kind of, that gets you to actually like grow, to be better at what you're doing now?
Yeah.
In the present. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a person who needs a challenge to solve. I need a big problem to go after and do. And so the best leaders that I've had, I can.
They're setting the field for you to give you that challenge. That's what you're saying.
A little bit. So she was, I knew her pretty well. Like, we worked together for a while.
Taylor Swift.
We knew where we were going, and she was very good at saying, hey, here's that vision, here's the direction, here's what needs to happen. She and I had regular conversations about like, okay, what's all happening here, what's all going on. And it wasn't a check-in. It was more just like, I need you to go solve this big problem. I'm going to be over here doing this other one. Go. And then we would check in and just kind of talk through that. And that worked really well for me. It like felt the respect, like what I think is a big part of it and why it worked out really well. Just kind of, it felt that she knew I could take care of it, and I wanted to keep there and just like, I'll just get this done and that sort of thing. So I thought that was really helpful. It was big challenges, big problems. And then when I needed something, she would figure out a way to go out and get it done. And a lot of times that was people. Sometimes it wasn't. It was process. It was different stuff. To the degree that one time we disagreed on a $500,000 investment, I said no, and she said yes for my team. And I was like, I don't need that. I can get it done without that. And she's like, no. That sort of thing, like clarity and direction, clarity and vision, it's so important for me. And that it has to be a huge part of the environment. And then given the space to go execute, I'm lethal when I know where we're going and I'm given the space to do it. If I don't have those two things, I'm out. And I'm much less effective. but there's a bit of, am I lethal? That's a weird phrase to say. That's a little hoity-toity, or grandiose. Makes myself feel better, whatever the phrase is. But
grandiose, yeah,
grandiose,
aggrandizing, yeah.
grandizing. Thank you. Those are the environments that I've worked best. And so it's like that part of thing is like, what is that environment? How do we build that for other people? There can be an idea of like, do you attract people similar to you in a positive way like that? Where you're like, oh, I want to attract people that are, don't show me constantly how to do it. Tell me what you need done and let me get it done. Like that's a big part of it for me. And
so maybe the real coach is the fields we made along the way. Lessons learned for the week.
Oh, that was mine. That you need me to help you with your product marketing. The thing that I learned, I was talking to a friend who was talking to I don't know what their title is, but basically they're monitoring all of the sources of power and the consumption of power at a citywide basis. So if they're like, we have power generated from wind, from dam, from coal, where and how fast can we produce electricity based on these different sources? And someone's job is monitoring that all the time to know cyclically through the year, different stuff that's happening, like how are we going to produce enough power in time to not have outages is actually a really hard problem. And I thought that's a boring sounding thing until you start thinking about it. You're like, that actually sounds pretty interesting. Like the number of data sets pulling in all this different stuff. And then the proverbial or even real levers you can pull to like, we got to like panic. We got to make some coal power, get it going. And yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, there's a guy who lived in South Africa, and they have apps there that tell you when the power is going to go out, like when you're going to get a blackout.
Based on that
so
type
that
of
they
data?
can then kind of like, I don't know exactly what all it's pulling on, but yeah, they're able to then kind of plan around it. So this, I don't think was the article I was trying to find, but it is kind of an interesting one. So Wall Street Journal put out an article titled, "These AI skilled 20-somethings are making hundreds of thousands a year." It's basically talking about these folks that are like coming out of school with sort of AI native skills and then able to kind of leverage decent, really good paying jobs out of it. Which made me think, like, would you, coming out of college now or going into college now, would you pick a different major? Like, how would you try to gear yourself up for whatever the economy's turning into?
You're in my DMs again. I was just talking with a family member about that. Family member just graduated, no, I was talking to them too, but another one that's 16, and they're wondering like, what should I do? And I don't actually know. It was a really interesting conversation. It's hard to know what's going to get impacted to the degree. Like, what field should I invest $150,000 in to learn and not be unemployed at the end of that? I don't know. I didn't blissfully stick my head in the sand and be like, well, I don't have that problem. Sucks for you. But
how were they thinking? Like, are they feeling the uncertainty, or did this start out as like a just normal, excited to go to college at some point?
I think they're worried.
And you were like, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't go in there like to ruin their dreams. Like, listen up, kid. You're gonna be broke. You're living here till you're dead. No, maybe that's how they saw me, but I didn't mean to be. They were a little bit worried.
Yeah.
A lot of confidence in the trades and in just like kind of like that work, and then even the prep for the trade. So I think there's at least these things are not going away, and someone or something will have to help coordinate those things. And so construction management was the one that they were like, that might be a helpful one to look into.
Wow. Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah.
No, more people. Yeah, that's a good thought. Like, I think, unfortunately, when you and I were coming of age, well, you were before me, but when we were coming of age at our respective growth periods, there was like stigma attached to vocations. And I think to everyone's kind of broader credit, a lot of that stigma has kind of dissipated some.
Yeah.
And it seems like more folks are willing to invest in that for their careers long term, which probably much safer bets than the careers that we were in. So cheers to you all. But yeah.
Have fun, y'all. Figure it out. We'll be in Maui.
On that note, we have a YouTube channel, so go check that out if you haven't. We post little mini clips that sometimes don't make it to the version that John edits down for the podcast. You can reach us at gettintomarketpod@gmail.com. So if you have feedback on how wrong both of us were about this, or just John, you can feel free to write us about that. We'd love to hear your feedback.
And any product marketing notes for Nate, just send them right to that same URL, same email, getintomarket@gmail.com.
No notes. Nobody has notes. It was good seeing you last week.
Yeah.
This week? Last week. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice.
Time flies.
Those, regardless of the, is planning a year in advance effective, getting together the group of people on an annual cadence is very helpful. That's the
yeah, definitely.
All right, until next year. Bye.
Bye.